Believe it. This is the shiz. Hey, this little bit emotionally just not feeling great right now, a little bit disturbed. And the reason why I say that because for about a year, for a little over a year, I started my vlogs shooting with my old Android phone, wishing for the very day that I finally get a 720p or 1080p will be better, but 720p at least video camera on my phone. And every single Windows phone made comes with the 720p. Great, I finally got it. I was able to get the Nokia Lumia 521. Wonderful. It's awesome. Okay. Then, all of a sudden, Cricket did not sell Windows Phone. So I decided, and I've been a customer of Cricket for a very long time. So I decided just to go ahead and go with a major provider. Like T-Mobile had the Nokia Lumia 521. But then AOI Wireless is another cell phone company, and they carried the Nokia Lumia 620. And I'm like, that's even better because it had a front and rear facing camera. Use the front camera for video conferencing, use the front camera. It's only 720p still for shooting videos. Plus it had slightly better microprocessor specs, so it can handle a lot of the apps better. So I was like, okay, but then it's great because AOI and Cricket, they were going to merge and become one. Now keep in mind, AOI is owned by AT&T. Now AT&T owns Cricket and AOI, and they kept the name Cricket because Cricket is a much more of a well-known brand than AOI was. So they kept the name Cricket. But they got rid of the Nokia Lumia 620. And I'm like, God damn. Because that's what I really wanted. Because I wanted, just a few more features to add the ability to have the front and rear facing camera. Because when I'm talking on the camera, yes, the front camera, it won't have that high definition picture. But I figure it'll be really good to have something where I can look at the camera and talk to it and see myself so I can position myself up nicely. Well, it doesn't have it. It doesn't come with it. So I'm like left with the Nokia Lumia 520, which is just like the 521. Now here's the problem that I've been facing lately. All of a sudden, last night, actually started like 2 days ago. A lot of the apps that I launch, especially the music and video app, every time I launched it, it always crashed and went back to the start screen. And it always does it like the first 1 or 2 times that you launch it. Then usually on the second or third try, it opens up. Now, in the last 2 days, it's been crashing on a lot of different kinds of apps. So I'm like, well, maybe because it's low in memory. I only got 800 megabytes of space left. So I started getting rid of games. I don't play a lot of games. I'm not really a big game player. So I figured, let's get rid of all these games. And I only kept one because there's one game I do like a lot. I think it's a perfect game for like when you're waiting at a doctor's office or you're, just waiting for something. Keeps your mind busy, something to do. But that's not it though. What really pissed me off is that even after getting rid of all that, it still keeps acting up. There's a few apps that not only doesn't crash and go back to the start screen, which is problematic, but not, it's not going to, kill me on that. I can just have to relaunch it again. No, it crashes the whole damn phone. The whole phone just crashed. And I have to wait for the whole entire startup. And the Windows Phone, I actually thought that they improved upon it where, like in Windows 8.1 on my Dell Venue 8 Pro, it launches right away. It's like you turn it on, you see the Dell insignia on there, then it just boom, there it is. It just comes up like within 5 seconds. My operating system is ready to go. And there may be some background stuff running, but I like the fact that it loads all the background stuff while you can still get to stuff that's in the foreground. I like that. It's like 5 seconds, boom. It's like the current Macs. You restart a Mac these days, especially if it's on solid state, memory, hard drives. It starts up really freaking quickly, and Windows 8.1 does that. Now, will it do that on a regular hard drive? Probably not. It'll probably take a little bit longer, but it's still really, really freaking fast, I believe. Restarting a Windows 8.1 computer is really nice. Okay? And I actually thought that maybe they would have done the same thing to Windows Phone. No, you turn on a Windows Phone on, especially, well, on this Nokia Lumia 521, okay? I can't speak for 1020 or the 925 or whatever. I can only speak for the 521. When you turn it on, the first thing that shows is Nokia. Then the T-Mobile symbol has to be up for a while, and that takes a long time. And then it goes to black. Then Windows Phone logo comes up. Then finally, boom, my lock screen shows. My thing is that I think it should be the same thing for Windows Phone, because the whole idea and what I love about Microsoft and what they're trying to do is to integrate the desktop with, or like your computer, laptop, desktop, with your mobile device. And if I did have a desktop and a laptop and a Windows Phone, all of it works together. So if I change the color on my Windows Phone, it should change the color on my Windows 8.1, and it should all sync up together. They may not be exactly alike, but they should be so close to where you can't really tell the difference. And my experience is pretty much the same on both. So I'm thinking that this phone should load up rather quickly. Now, some people may say the fix to my crashing issue can be I just need to reload it, just do a hard reset and start from scratch. And I'll probably do that tonight, but you know how long that takes? Of course, I mean, resetting the phone won't take that long, but then you got to reset everything back up. You got to log into all your apps. You got to download the apps that you used to have. Now, one thing that's great about live accounts, Windows Live, I guess Outlook.com or Hotmail, whatever you want to call it, is that if you are using a Microsoft ID for your phone, what's nice is that all I got to do is log in, and it memorizes all the apps that you have. It does the same thing on Google Apps. And if you bought any apps, or Google Android, I mean, if you bought any apps, it memorizes it and downloads it for you. And it even gives you the choice, do you want to re-download the apps that you had before? Now, before you do a full hard reset, which you should do beforehand, and also save all your text messages, and stuff that gets lost in the phone, that's not necessarily stored in the cloud. What you should do is you tell the phone to back up all your stuff to the cloud on the Microsoft servers. After you back everything up, then you do a hard reset. And I've done that this morning. I did do a major backup this morning. I told it to back up everything. It doesn't back up the core, doesn't back up like an image of the phone, but it backs up the settings. So after I do a hard reset, all I got to do is log into my live account, and it will automatically download all my email addresses that I have. I have to re-enter all the passwords again, which will be a pain in the ass. But at least I don't have to do a complete setup from scratch. It will make it easier for me to download the apps and get all the emails again. And I have a lot of email addresses, and I got every single one of them on this phone. And what's good is that whenever I log into a Windows Phone, like I buy a new phone, I don't have to remember all my email addresses and I have to do the passwords, but it would create email addresses automatically and then allow me to enter in the passwords for each and every one of them. A lot of people say, why do you have so many email addresses? That's because I am an admin to a lot of my clients' Office 365 accounts. And I have an email address, a user account for every one of my Office 365 tenants that I have. But I also have, like my wife and I, we have a shared email address that we use. Like for anything that we buy on Google Play that we do together, we have a shared account that we buy that on. We have a shared account for Google Wallet, and all emails, like let's say, like our insurance company, instead of giving them our personal email address, we'll give them our joint email address. And by getting the joint email address, whenever they send us a bill, it goes to both our phones. So her phone and my phone is able to get that email, and it's located on Gmail. And it's great. It works great. We also have a joint email account on Hotmail. It's something at outlook.com. And it works great. So everything that we do on Microsoft, it comes to a joint email account to both our phones. And I have those email addresses added to both our phones. And we can share calendars and items and lists and and a bunch and contacts are shared on both our phones, and it works great. It does. It works really great, and has been working great for many years now. So I'm a little disappointed in the 521 and just the fact that it is crashing on me. And but you know what? Windows Phone is just like any OS out there. When I had an Android, I had problems with it. There were some issues with it. The applications crashed all the time. I've always had to take the battery out and put the battery back in to reboot it because I couldn't turn it off. It wouldn't budge. It was just stuck on the screen. So I had to, do the battery thing. Then I decided to do a hard reset on it. And after about a month or two, the same thing happened. So Android, doesn't matter if you have an Android. I remember I never had an iPhone myself, but I bought my wife years ago an iPhone 3GS, and she had problems with it as well. So don't say, oh, well, it's Apple. You should get an Apple iPhone. iOS is better. Not really. There's not one perfect iOS out there. There isn't. None of it's perfect. They all are subject to issues. And every once in a while, you have to reload it. Now, what works good for certain people doesn't work good for others. Okay? For instance, let's go out and buy an Android, and you have nothing but problems with it. So you're going to be, the next time you buy a phone, you probably will go out and buy an iPhone or get a Windows phone, just to see if it's better. Be like, you know what? Maybe my experience with iPhone or Windows Phone will be better, and your experience with may be better. I spoke. There's this gentleman, an older guy. He's old, and he works at the gas station. And I saw he had a HTC. Oh, I like it a hell lot better Android. I had problems with my Android, but then you have other Android users that love Android to death. Everybody's different in their experiences, and maybe I had such a bad experience with my Android that I decided I didn't want to deal with Android anymore. But because I am a Microsoft fan, maybe that's why I'm more accepting of Windows Phone and Windows 8 than I am with any other platform out there. Doesn't mean that I don't appreciate other technologies. It doesn't mean that, because every time when you look at different technology, is it better or is it worse? Who knows? And this is something that I think about every day. I know I never had any problems, and this is non-related, but I just want to make a point real quick. I've never, my wife and I, every time we moved somewhere, whether it was North Carolina, Chicago, Phoenix, Arizona, Austin, Texas, everywhere we moved to, whether Time Warner, we always ended up in a Time Warner area for some reason. Okay, we never had Comcast or anything like that. we always had a Time Warner or Roadrunner account. Okay, we never had problems with Time Warner ever. We never had problems with Time Warner. I mean, I think one time we did, and they came out and fixed it. Within a couple of days, they were at our house knocking on our door. We let him in. He did some wiring with the coaxial cables, and then he fixed it. And we were getting 50 megabits per second. Perfect. We never had problems with them. Whenever I had to take care of my bill, I called him up and be like, hey, let's take care of this. I'm a month behind. Let's take care of this. Never had problems with them. But then you have a lot of people who complain left and right that Time Warner is the worst. But then you hear the same thing about AT&T. AT&T is the worst. But then you hear other people that say, oh, I prefer AT&T over Time Warner, so I want to go back with AT&T. So I've never had any problems with AT&T. Time Warner, I've always had problems. And then you have people who say, oh, I always had problems with AT&T, so I want to go with Time Warner. Everybody's experience is different. And here's the thing you got to think about. Is AT&T worse than Time Warner or vice versa? No. They're both the same. They both have outages, issues because of weather. Shit happens, okay? Man-made equipment going against nature. We can't control nature. We can't control if a chickbunk decides to chew up a cable and they got to send someone out to fix it. It happens, folks. Your experience with AT&T does not affect another person's experience with AT&T. When I was with AT&T cell phone service, the only complaint I had was the fact they got rid of unlimited data plan. And because I closed my account with them and got with Cricket for a little bit, I wanted to go back with AT&T. I couldn't keep I wasn't grandfathered anymore into my unlimited data plan. So I was kind of like, I don't want to go with AT&T anymore just because of that. But I had no problems with AT&T, no problems at all. The reception was good. 95% of the time, our reception was great, no matter where we went. Okay? But do you have a lot of people out there who are like, AT&T, it sucks. I hate AT&T. And then you have a lot of people who say, I hate T-Mobile. To tell you the truth, I like T-Mobile better than, I like AT&T better than T-Mobile. You have some people that says, oh, I love Verizon. Verizon is the bomb. Then you have a lot of people that say, Verizon, oh, they suck. I don't like Verizon. Their reception is horrible. So everybody's experience is different. So when you move to another city and you decide to go with a cell phone company, you don't look at if maybe AT&T is better. Okay, I'm just going to give you an example here. I don't know if it's true or not. But if you live in New Orleans, okay, and your Verizon service was perfect and AT&T is the worst, you move to Chicago, do you look at the fact that Verizon may be better than AT&T in Chicago, whereas in New Orleans, Verizon was horrible? Okay, so you move to a different city and you stick with what you know, but then you move to Chicago and then you have the worst service ever. You don't steady and realize the fact that maybe this other company does better in this city. Or maybe because you're stuck on a 2-year contract. But either way, you don't really look into anything else because you go with what you know. And I think that's what I do too. Because everywhere I've been to, Time Warner I never had any problems with Time Warner. But maybe in certain cities, Time Warner is just awful. But places that I've been to, Time Warner has been nothing but perfect. I've had no problems with Time Warner, ever. Except for one time, but they fixed it in 2 days. Shoot, we went from 2 megabits per second of crappy internet to 50 megabits per second when that guy came into our apartment and hooked up and redid some of the wiring, the coaxial cable. There was he had to replace a couple of things, and he did this, he did that, and boom, it worked. It worked perfect then. Damn, I'm going on damn near 20 minutes here. So one thing is, when people look at Windows Phone, a lot of people are like, wow, this is this is so refreshing to have a fresh new operating system. And I agree. Maybe one day I'll get sick and tired of Windows Phone. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. Tomorrow I may be like, oh, I'm getting myself the Galaxy S5. I'm all about Android, and I am getting rid of Microsoft altogether, and I'm going to be all the way Google. I doubt that would happen, but I'm telling you that yes, I'm a diehard Microsoft fan and have been for a very long time, but I've not always been like this. There was a time where I loved Macintosh. I thought Macintosh was the shit, you know? But then when I went to the Apple store to try to buy a Macintosh, I'm like, oh, hell no. Let me hop on over to the Windows store. They don't have a Windows store or a Mac store. Well, no, in Pasadena, California, they had a Mac store there, but it wasn't owned by Apple. It was owned by they had like a lot of retailers that that became Mac dealers. So I went into an electronics store and built myself my own Windows machine, and that was Windows 95 at the time. Sure did. And then bought myself a Windows 95 operating system too. Installed the bitch, and it worked. And there we go. My own computer, $400. And a little at a time, I replaced a lot of the components inside to upgrade it. So I think I initially spent $400 for all the initial components, and probably ended up spending $1,500 altogether over time. Like, I upgraded the video card, and then I said, okay, let me add more RAM to it. Okay, let me add a bigger hard drive to it. And I think that's how I did it. Over time, it became a nice computer. But a Mac, you can't do that with a Mac. But I'm not downing Macs though. Macs are really good computers. In fact, there was one time that I loved Macs. I just couldn't afford it. They're expensive computers. They are. They're expensive. But because I've been with the Windows platform for many years now, and I go with what I know, I will never switch to a Mac probably. Hey, I can't tell you, well, you know what? I should never say never, because tomorrow it may be a different story. Or I may get a job somewhere where Mac is the only platform that I work on. So of course I got to get used to it, and then I may start to like it. Who knows? The only thing I don't like about Macs is that the software cannot be run on it unless you run some kind of emulator, like a PC emulator. And but let's go back to Windows 8 a little bit. Windows 8, I like it a lot, and I can see I do like it a lot. I think it's a great tablet experience, especially since I do have a tablet that's also a laptop. So it's really like a laplet or a tab top. Okay, and I like it a lot. I mean, and my Dell Venue 8 Pro will probably be my only laptop for a very long time. And do I want to get the Microsoft Surface 3? Hell yeah. That'll be the only reason why I want a laptop, is to purchase a Microsoft Surface 3. I would love to get that. If budget wasn't an issue, I would have had a Microsoft Surface 3, and that would be my only laptop. But my Dell Venue 8 Pro, I will say this: touch is not the only way to go, but touch does help a lot. I love touch, but you still need a keyboard and mouse, if you ask me, for the desktop functionality of it. But the Windows 8 part of it, the RT version of it, I believe works just fine with touch only. Having a keyboard does help a lot though, and a mouse, and so I definitely miss that. So one of these days I'm going to go and purchase a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse for my Dell Venue 8 Pro, so that I can use a lot more of the desktop functionality of it, because you do need it. You can't do, I mean, it's at least a mouse, because the on-screen keyboard works really good, but I think a mouse would heighten the experience a lot more, because the point and click on certain Windows 7 applications still requires a mouse. It's still too small, okay? So, 24 minutes now. Damn. 25. I just had a lot to say, I guess. It's been a while since I posted on my video blog. So, I'm just going to go ahead and end this. I got a few more minutes left on my lunch. Peace out.